they need to. We have had these discussions with them. Do you understand? We will not change government's plan, but however, make sure that we see our plans through, because these are plans that come out of a negotiation with people. It is top down and not, it is bottom up and not top down approach that we are using. Katangwa, even before I joined, even before this administration, during the time of Governor Body, Katangwa has already been designated as the place to move the computer village. We've gone out, we've gone to Katangwa, we've gone to computer village, I mean, which that area is causing a lot of traffic in that place, and we need to start looking at re-engineering some of our transportation routes. You understand? And the only way we can do it is not to displace people, but is to resettle people in proper settlements where international businessmen will come and meet us in conducive environments, with hotels, with schools, with creche, with proper stores, with bank. This is being planned for Katangwa, and this is another project that we're doing. You know, in last Sunday, I'm sure you are aware that every single sector that we have demolished, there are five clusters. The first two clusters, we compensated everybody. There is no way where we remove anybody without compensating them or having a plan. Dosumo, I just left the office to meet the commissioner for information. We're having a meeting on 48, 49, 50, and 51 Taiwo Street. You know, those are the properties that are just next to Mandela's building that got burnt last year. Now, sometime at the end of that got burnt 2 years ago, sometime at the end of last year, there was 48, 49, 50, and 51 also got burnt. So what we're trying to do is to follow our guidelines, which is our building code that we're about to launch, where you cannot be having small plots of 250 or plots of 400, and we're talking of a minimum plot size of 1,400. You know, so as properties give way to new development in our regeneration plan, from our building code, you know, the only thing we can do now is to do that code and ensure that these buildings have proper setbacks. You understand? They have, you know, provisions for fire exits and a couple of other things that are very, very important. So I just met with the families. You understand? I met with the Abisoku family, the Piton family, the Bakari family, and the George family. The four families have now signed the document to come together, you know, to build one structure as against having four that it was before. Because you see, when Mandela's fire happened, we had different problems. Number one, we had physical obstacles, and then we had human obstacles. Physical obstacles in the sense that the fire trucks could not even go through because people have already built on the road. So the first thing we needed to do was to remove the physical obstacles. After removing the physical obstacles, we now had to deal with the human obstacles, because there were now people who were trading on the road, and we needed to get them out before the fire truck could reach there. And when the fire truck reached there, then we also now had, you know, building obstacles. A building was now on the setback, and the fire truck could not drive through. So before we could even think of demolishing that small building, which was an afterthought, the entire Mandela's building was burnt. But we were able to put that fire under control. Notwithstanding, you understand, the building is still there. We're thinking of what to do. We're supposed to bring it down, but you know, the technology to bring down the building like that, you understand, can be expensive, and the Lagos State needs to bear that. The GNI building, you know, none of us could go for Christmas. Even as I speak to you today, the building is still burning. The building has been burning now for 3 months. So every single day, a fire truck is there trying to put out the engine, and they try to put out the fire. But when you look at it, what was the problem of that building? People, I mean, a building that used to be an office block now became a parking store, as they call it. So they now had highly inflammable material stored in the building. So trying to put that fire under control became a very serious problem. And you can see what has happened now. We have had to do a 50-meter radius. Later we increased it to 100-meter radius, depending when we bring down the building. Because if that building falls, what it means is that anybody within 100-meter radius of that building, because the building is about 3 meters high on 25 floors, about 75 to 85 meters is what the height of that building is. So you can imagine when if the building comes down suddenly, you understand, I mean, you could spell, you know, a lot of doom for the people around them. So what we need to do is to protect the people from the dangers that can come from that building. So we have done that, and I was still there over the weekend. And some people were trying to see whether we could reduce the thing, but the building is still burning. You understand? And we need to put control in place to make sure that we safeguard our people. It brings me to Dosumo. You understand? Because I had to use the Dosumo example to explain to the people of Taiwo Street, and I told them, you should expect this land pooling, which they have agreed to. 16 buildings burnt in Dosumo, 16 different families. One building caused the fire because somebody had a generator on one of the upper floors. And when the generator started burning, instead of him to find a way of using fire extinguisher, which they did not have, he threw the generator down and threw all the kegs of petrol down. And that was what burnt 16 buildings. So Mr. Governor has now approved. There were 3 recommendations from the committee. Number 1, we develop it with the owners, the property owners. Number 2, we develop it with developers. And number 3, the Lagos State takes over the building, the area and develop. But Mr. Governor, in his wisdom and the kindness of his heart as a governor, the law says we should take over everything. But he did not do that. He decided to develop it with the property owners. So what we have now done, we have put what used to be 16 to about 7 to 9 properties that will now be developed in Dosumo. And yet the government paid over R1 billion compensating people in that area. We need to try as much as possible to save people for themselves, because that is the reason why this government has been voted into power. Having said that, regeneration, is a term in development. Whether you call it conservation, preservation, renovation, regeneration, redevelopment, all of those things are terminologies in urban renewal. And that's why we have the general manager urban renewal. It is not to say that those of us that are here are the people who are responsible, for everything that goes on in the pool. It goes into the water and then it destroys the fishes. We call it a fishing community. And then access. Basic infrastructure, social amenities, all of those things are missing. So these things have been tackled before, and we had a floating school, proof of concept, and the floating school song. In 2021, when I joined the government, before I came, already Amina Mohammed had already visited. That is the UN Undersecretary, the next person to the Secretary General of the United Nations. So it is not an area that we are joking with at all. It's an area that we want to ensure that we do the needful and improve their living standards.